I think it's safe to say that the best horror movies out there are R-rated. You have more freedom to play around and scare the audience. However, saying that, some filmmakers find a way to make things child-friendly but still pack an absolutely terrifying punch. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 best PG-13 horror movies. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5, we have Devil. Now, this was one on our list that I was truly surprised was a PG-13, but perhaps I remember it a little more intensely than it actually was. Released in 2010, directed by John Eric Dowell, and produced/developed by M. Night Shyamalan, Devil follows 5 strangers who get marooned in an elevator, and in a shocking turn of events, they realize one of them is in fact the devil. The movie is essentially a whodunit, with it taking place primarily in the confines of a claustrophobic elevator, with the audience attempting to figure out which one of the characters is the devil himself. One by one, they begin to get attacked as they are plunged into darkness every few minutes. Its atmosphere is electric, with the movie being utterly thrilling and unnerving. Not to mention, it invites audience participation, with the movie being a horror murder mystery as we attempt to solve the crime by investigating each character. And when you find out who the devil is, you'll be completely gobsmacked. From start to finish, you are on the edge of your seat, waiting nervously for the elevator to plunge into darkness and for one of the characters to be murdered. More interesting still, this movie was intended to be the first of 3 installments of M. Night Shyamalan's The Night Chronicles. However, this never came to fruition, with his kind of brand being inconsistent in tones and themes. Coming in at number 4, we have Insidious. Regardless of how you feel about the Insidious and Conjuring franchises, I couldn't not include this movie because it is arguably one of the greatest PG-13 horrors out there. The movie is filled to the brim with jump scares, terrifying demons, and dancing ghost children, with it proving just how much fear you can bring to a movie even with a PG-13 rating. Directed by James Wan and released in 2010, the movie follows a couple whose son inexplicably enters a comatose state, and soon becomes the vessel for a variety of entities in an astral dimension referred to as the Further, with the spirits and demons occupying the dimension seeking to inhabit the boy's body. It is discovered pretty early on that the son, Dalton, has the ability to travel mentally to the astral plane. However, when he does this, this allows a host of evil entities to cross over into the mortal realm in order to inhabit his body and scare the living daylights out of everyone who sees them. Not to mention the little dancing ghost boy doing a jig to Tiny Tim's Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Never forget. That scene traumatized me for a very long time. Also, the lipstick-faced demon who appears behind Patrick Wilson when you least expect it, and I hate it more than you know. In at number 3, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I think it's safe to say that if Guillermo del Toro has his name attached to a movie, it's going to be good, and it's going to be terrifying. This was partially the case with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which polarized viewers, but for the most part terrified them. Released in 2019, directed by Andre Ovredel and produced by Del Toro, the movie is based on the children's book series of the same name and takes place on Halloween in 1968, when Stella and her 2 friends meet a mysterious drifter named Raymond and uncover a sinister notebook of stories. They quickly discover that whatever is written in the book is what is happening in real life, and if your name is in there, you're in for a hell of a ride. The movie is host to some of the most terrifying monsters seen on screen, from a creepy scarecrow to a corpse looking for her missing toe, to the scariest of all, the Pale Lady. This movie has something for everyone, and regardless of who you are and what scares you, this film will send shivers down your spine, that's for sure. When you see the array of monsters and scares, it's impressive to think they're all played out with a PG-13 rating. With no blood and no gore, the scares are still there. There is so much you can do with practical effects and bumps in the dark, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark proves that. In April 2020, it was announced that a sequel to the movie is officially in development, with Ovredel returning to direct. In at number 2, we have Arachnophobia. Now, this movie, above all else, well maybe not The Witches, scared me the most when I was a kid, and it did it all with a PG-13 rating. And how exactly did it do it? With spiders. It's really all you need. Directed by Frank Marshall and released in 1990, Arachnophobia is exactly what you would expect, a movie that centers on 8-legged furry horrible spiders. No thank you. It specifically follows a Venezuelan spider that is transported to a small town in America, and of course, it goes on to produce introduce a new species of deadly spiders, taking down the residents one by one. Lovely stuff. The movie, no matter how old you are, is absolutely terrifying and traumatizing. I truly believe I have PTSD from this film. The spiders are constantly hiding in unsuspecting places, underneath the toilet, in an old man's slipper, in the lampshade, and of course in the shower. Nowhere is safe. However, thankfully John Goodman arrives to try and save the day. God bless John Goodman. Now, good news and bad news depending on how you look at it. James Wan, the man behind Saw, The Conjuring, and Insidious, is currently in the process of developing a remake with Amblin Entertainment, and quite honestly, I might be too terrified to watch this movie, and that's saying something. Spiders is my biggest fear, and I don't care what any of you say about it. I hate them, they're disgusting. I know in Toronto they can't do much to me other than just scare me, but f them. If you live in Australia, those suckers can kill you. Do you know in Australia the highest cause of car crashes is spiders that are in your visor when you pull it down because of the sun, they drop down. I read that because I almost moved to Melbourne once. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to move to Australia now, no thank you, but thankfully it never happened, so God bless. I would not have survived one day in Australia. Spiders, the sun, the heat, sharks, water, everything I hate, snakes, like everything I hate. F that shit. Sorry Australians, but I'm not visiting you anytime soon. And finally, coming in at number 1, A Quiet Place. I mean, there is no other movie that could take this number 1 spot if you ask me. The Quiet Place blew everyone's expectations out of the water while shocking them into silence, all while doing it with a PG-13 rating. That's quite the skill. Directed by John Krasinski in 2018, A Quiet Place follows a family who are struggling to survive in a post-apocalyptic world that is now inhabited by aliens with an acute sense of hearing. Meaning our characters are forced to remain silent in order to remain unnoticed by these deadly predators. Yep, that means no sudden movements, no talking, and definitely no running. They must stay quiet at all costs, with the family communicating via sign language, a skill they seemingly had prior to the aliens' invasion of Earth, with their daughter being deaf. However, saying that, we're not quite sure of the timeline of the events taking place in the movie or when the aliens officially arrived. The movie is both a thrilling horror and a moving family drama about the lengths a mother and father would go to protect their children, even during unprecedented times. The story itself was created out of Krasinski's own parenting fears and anxieties, with the film in essence being a love letter to his and Emily Blunt's children. You can't help but root for this family who are completely alone and utterly helpless in their silence, and the final few moments of the film will leave you in tears and emotionally drained. Never take your parents for granted, because this film proves how far they would go to protect their children. Well, most of them. There's also a second one coming out very, very soon. It was delayed because of COVID, so I don't know when it's coming now, but it's coming, and I can't wait. But John Krasinski's not in it because he's dead. So, spoiler, he dies at the end. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with that list? With any PG-13 horror movies that we miss? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 horror movie endings that made no sense. Nerd Cave said The Happening was a horror movie. I have it categorized as a comedy. That's very true, as do I. I think it's the funniest bad film out there, alongside The Room. Not to be confused with Room, starring Brie Larson, which was actually really sad, but really good. But yeah, The Happening is utter garbage, but I love to laugh at it. Tasman B said, I'm sorry, weird question. Are you pregnant? Just out of curiosity. No, I'm definitely not pregnant. Don't know how that would happen. I'm quite... I don't know what else to say. But thank you for checking in on me. I've clearly gained some weight and you're just commenting on that fact. But thanks. Yeah, lovely question. It was a weird question, somewhat rude. If I ever do get pregnant, I'll probably let you know, but it's also my private business. But yeah, guess that's, you could have just said, looking a bit fat there, Lucy. Would have probably been nicer, I guess. Pink Mount Everest said, excuse me, are you the Dark Queen? Yes, I am. Apparently the large Dark Queen at the moment, so yeah. Ronnie Young said, Signs sucked, Scary Movie 3 was better. Incorrect information, Signs was actually really good up until the twist. Actually, I like the twist up until the water. The water sucked. I like when Meryl swings away, that's the best part. Chronic Solo said, My Lucy, you've enhanced yourself. I don't know what this means. I think it's a compliment, and I hope it is, and I hope it's not another fat thing. Angel Ray said, Lucy! Yes, that is me. You found me. Jennifer Brewer said, the ending of the original Nightmare on Elm Street still makes no sense. How does it not make sense? It makes sense. They just never left the dream world. They were still dreaming. Freddy's not dead, clearly, because they made like 7 more movies. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.